Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. And I hope you guys are hungry because we are back for Hungary here at Rush Racing League. It is Division 1, round number 9 of the championship here for Season 10. And we are ready for the second 100% Grand Prix of the season. So we're going to go ahead and take you through it. But before we go ahead and do that, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and I'll be one of your hosts and commentators for tonight's Grand Prix. And alongside me, as always, he was here, I believe, just a few short days ago to do the reserve program. It is the main man, Kaus. How you doing tonight, mate?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just couldn't get rid of me. They tried to hit me up. They said, "Mate, you need to move on. The performance that you gave last week wasn't good enough, so we're going to look for someone else." And I said, "Look, if that's the case, then it's going to be really really sad without me." But they came back to me and said, "You know what, mate, you did all right. You can come back for the Div1 race, but it is what it is. If the show goes on, I'll be here. Records, don't you worry, mate. Given my insights and all that sort of good stuff. But yeah, glad to be back. A very interesting race on the reserve program. If you haven't, highly recommend you go and have a cheeky gander at that because that was quite entertaining. And that's quite surprising for this track, as usually it is just a bit of a bore fest. But that race was very interesting. But I think this one will be even more interesting with some higher caliber drivers across the board. So yeah, we'll get qualifying going in a moment, and we'll see how they all fare tonight.
Exactly that, cows, and we are going to go ahead and just jump straight to the track. The track is already on your screens, and we do have 15 drivers here tonight. It's not a particularly full grid, but it should still be an exciting one, nevertheless. And I am hearing that it is. I'm hearing Nishka mention something about a full wet race. So
Mm.
that would be the first one I've ever seen in Rush, at least in terms of recent memory. But we will see. We'll just kind of see how it goes. It is short qualifying this time around, as per usual. So it'll be the regular qualifying, one qualifying session to rule them all, and then we have 70 laps to go through this entire Grand Prix. So we shall see. Do you have Cheeto added by any chance, Kaus? Because he will need an invite.
I will suss it out. I do not have him added, but I will see if I can suss one out.
All right. In that case, we're gonna still wait for drivers to actually hit the track. We do have 15 of them. Soon to be 16 once we are able to get Cheedung in. And then we'll go ahead and jump straight to it. Let's talk about the track real quick while drivers are getting ready to go. This track has been around for 39 years, and actually, we are about to come up on the track's 40th anniversary here very soon. So, the track's 40th anniversary is actually only 3 days away. So, if my scheduling brain can work it out, I think that's Div 3, I think, maybe? I think Div 3 it'll be the 40th anniversary, so it'll be interesting to see how these drivers handle this near 40-year-old circuit. 14 corners around. It is known as Monaco without the walls, and has been a part of the Formula One calendar pretty much since its opening in 1986. It is used for quite a few different competitions: Formula One, International GT Open, TCR Europe, Ferrari Challenge Europe, and it has also been the host of Motorcycle Grand Prix Racing. But now that has gone to Balaton Park, also in Hungary. It is 4.381 kilometers, 2.722 miles around the 14 corner circuit. We should be expecting lap times well beyond the sub 120s. Probably even, I'm probably gonna say a pole time is gonna be around a 116 or a 115. Probably might even be a 114 because we were seeing that in the reserve program with XD Lamb here, cows.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting qualifying here. So I'm just trying to get Cheetong into the lobby. Looks like he's actually got in after all, so I don't need to stress about that anymore. Sorry, what were we discussing, Records? I apologize. I was trying to get Cheetong in.
All good, all good. So we're just gonna go ahead and watch. We're on board with Aben now as he continues his lap. Uh, one of the favorites, according to the chat, is going to be one Mr. Campbell Adams, who is in the Mercedes for tonight. He is apparently extremely quick around this track. And, I mean, hey, kudos to him, because I'm certainly not. I think my best time around here is in the 120s, I think. So my time here is, it's pretty rough. Let's just say that. There's a reason why I'm not competing at Div1 or any Div for that matter. JDI will set the top of the times with a 1:15.1 as a banker lap. So yeah, a 1:13 is definitely going to be on the cards here. As the track gets more rubbered in, Avon comes across the line just over a second off. As now we head to Jazztan. See if he can use those jazz hands to get a pole lap here. Somebody is actually betting their dinner that this driver right here is going to go ahead and win the race. Well, you better not make your friend go hungry here, Justin. Popped up Bongo also going to continue on his lap as well. We'll stick on board with Justin to see what he can go ahead and do. He's going to go ahead and come to the line after he's got a few more corners left to go. He's got the double hairpin that he will have to negotiate, but then from there on out he will be pretty much pelleted him out straight to the line. Campbell Adams with a 1:14, 1:28, about a second off of the biker lap set earlier on. And Jazztan is going to move up to P7 on the road. Pumped Up Bongo now, one of the superstars from the early season, is going to make his way to the line. And what I have noticed is we don't have Jonno again. So Jonno is not taking part in Hungary, so this will be an interesting one to see how it plays out, because we could usually rely on Jonno to give us a victory, but that is not the case this time around, as we're going to take a look at the standings as more drivers are completing laps. And I believe this might be Cheetong in the VCARB CH1. CH1 is going to continue around the circuit, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on good friend Chi here as he's navigating the circuit. A lot of drivers into the 114s comfortably, and Campbell Adams in a 14.1. It's a very, very competitive time. But we'll stay on board with our good friend Cheetong, see what he
Well, I think he's
ends up.
invalidated. He has invalidated.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Chi. We'll need to duck into the pits. Ooh, almost hits the wall on the pit entry there. That could have been dangerous. Still got a bit of time, so shouldn't be too stressed. But yeah, see how he negotiates that one. Kaio also into the pits as well. Might have also invalidated his lap, or maybe he was just coming in from a lap. Oh no, he hasn't put a lap in, so he must have invalidated. We got our good friend Jazz Hands, aka Miles Davis, aka any other jazz musician that you want to put there, and looks like he has gone up into P12. His name just changed for me. Did it just change for you as well? That was bizarre.
I don't know. Connor just got moved up to P12 at the moment. The Kick Sauber Hastan has always been in P9 or P like 8 or 9 originally, so I think Kaus, you might just be losing it there, mate. It
Yeah, I
does
think I think
happen.
I'm just not on it today. I'll be honest. I'm all over the place. It's alright, we move.
Well, hopefully we don't have drivers all over the place here today because one slight mistake is going to absolutely just send you straight into one of the walls. There are walls on this track despite the nickname, but they are very far out. But there are a lot of grassy patches and runoff areas that can catch you off guard. If you're not too careful, JDI will go ahead and begin another lap. We're about halfway through the quality session here, and then it is 70 laps around the Hungary to crown a winner of our second 100% race in Div1. There will be only one more to go at Stavelot, Belgium, around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. So, any bold predictions from you here tonight, Kaus? Are you thinking we're gonna
I would,
see Hastan actually get a win, or are you think it's gonna be someone else?
yeah, I mean, looking at the lap time so far, it looks like our good friend Mr. Campbell Adams is all over the timing boards. He's going to start a lap, so I do want to watch and get on board with how he negotiates this circuit and how he's able to get a sizable lead to the rest of the grid. He's got 3 tenths or 2 tenths to a good friend McJammy and almost 8 tenths on M John. So very, very competitive times here. To see how he negotiates and navigates the circuit here at the Hungary Ring. Goes down to about 60% just before turn one. Nice little wheel flick. Very, very nice on the power there. Maybe a little bit of wheel spin if I'm being over critical. Not a bad turn in here. Gets it nice and neat and tidy. No real glaring sort of over pushing. Doesn't look like he's scrubbing his tires a lot. Nice turn in there on the right hander as well. That looks really clean. Just before the 50-meter brake board, has to let the Haas deviate his position there so that he can continue his lap. But very, very, very planted, this car. I'm not sure how he's able just to send it into these corners. This is a quality lap that I'm on board with here, Rekis. So we'll see how this one goes. He might improve. He might not, but this looks to be a very nice lap. So you can see how he's going to the 114s just on board. Very nice, tidy turn in. Very nice and tight to that barrier on the inside wall. Opens up the steering to get the power down, and that's a 14.1. Slight improvement there. I think a couple hundredths, but improvement nonetheless, Rekis.
Already setting a very high benchmark, even higher, raising that bar pretty much to the outer layers of the stratosphere for Campbell Adams. Very good, but Big Jammy is actually not too far off. He just had the lap only half a tenth away from Campbell Adams' time. So I think Campbell Adams might have a little bit of competition here tonight. Him and McJammy seem to be at the top of their game. Now, just kind of looking at the drivers we do have around here, McJammy McJammy's, I think, the highest in the table when it comes to that. He is. He is actually second only to the Jonno. And yes, I'm calling him the Jonno because I swear that man's not human, especially after this season. But just taking a look at the standings, his biggest rival is actually the driver we're on board with at the moment, Pop Top Bongo. Only 10 points separate him and McJammy for P2 in the championship. And then JDI Mr. Thunder, aka JF7, only an additional 11 points back. So, could be a spicy one here in the championship. We might see some championship order placement changes. We'll just see as Pop Top is going to make his way into the pits. Going to burn those tires up. Just coming on in. In is Raiden, the driver whose season has been filled with a lot of ups and downs. He has had some extremely good races and then other races where he just couldn't make it out of turn one. And a good amount of it is not even his fault from earlier on in the season. Just involved with a lot of those early race incidents that some drivers do tend to find themselves in. And I mean, it happens to the best of us, really. I work at a go-kart track, and I tell people sometimes, like, hey, it's not always your fault. Somebody else could crash into you, but still, it just doesn't change how unlucky some drivers can be. But it seems like in recent times, Aiden's Rain has been able to turn that luck around, and I say that right as he invalidates. So I'm just gonna shut up. But we're gonna
No, it's
jump over.
this guy's record is unreal.
Unreal commentator curse right there. But now we're gonna jump over to the reserve program winner of Ryan Adair, someone who's currently P5 in the timings. So expecting some big things here from the Ferrari team principal, Mr. XD Lamb himself. See what he can go ahead and do. He's burning a good amount of battery coming up to the hairpins here. The dueling hairpins, I'm going to call them. And we'll see if he is hungry for Hungary pole here as he makes his way. Oh, yep, he's coming to the pit, so that is not going to be a fast lap. So he's going to come to the pits as well, and we are about to get ready for rush hour. The final 3 minutes of qualifying, and this track is about to get red hot.
Yeah, it's gonna get spicy. It's gonna get feisty. We'll see how the fellas navigate the last few moments of qualifying. Of course, this is where we see the order really start to shake up, and everyone's true pace really gets displayed. See, hopefully, maybe you can get up a few tenths and get it a little bit more hooked up than you did in the previous lap. But there actually seems to be a massive difference tonight between drivers. There's almost 2 seconds across the board in qualifying tonight. There seems to be a really clear distinction between those who are really, really good at navigating this track and some who might be struggling a little bit and trying to find that extra second and a half that these top guys are finding. So let's see if we can jump on board with someone. I think Campbell Adams is starting a lap, but we did have a gander at him last time. I might want to see if there's someone else that we can watch, but I think we'll start off with Campbell Adams, and then we'll list off the end of qualifying when we get to it. So we have our good friend Campbell Adams again negotiating turn 1. Nice little turn in there. Ooh, decent amount of wheel spin there. That might be just maybe on my side that I'm seeing a lot of that wheel spin, but we'll see how he goes for
now.
Yeah, that was a bit of a left front there that shouldn't necessarily get a little bit of greenery on there, a little bit of foliage, but he does abandon that lap, so he is just going to see if his lap that he put earlier in qualifying is going to get him through into P1. Looks like a good friend, Pop Top Bongo, is also starting his lap. That is Campbell's teammate. Does seem to have left a little bit of ERS on the board during his lap. Ooh, that might be an invalidation.
No, it's not.
Somehow that is not. Wow, that's still going. All 4 tires were definitely off the track there, but that's okay. The game seems to just let him by, you know. Maybe he didn't have as much speed as he probably wanted to in that corner, but we'll see how it goes in the timing boards, if he can improve.
I think he's actually building up for a lap.
Right, okay. Is he going to make it in time? How much time is left? I can't see the time at the moment.
Yeah, so, okay. So what Popped Up is doing right now is he is building up that ERS, building the battery. He's got 7 seconds, so he's got to punch it now. Oh, he didn't make it. Pop Top Bongo is not going to make it. So he is 2 seconds off the board. Now we're going to take a look at McJammy here, a.k.a. Meowsy. We'll see what he can do here as he is going to go ahead and continue to speed on through. Ryan Adair, I think, just jumped over the curbs there, so that'll probably be an invalidation for the Ferrari man, as McJammy is going to go ahead and make his way through. And now he's going to be really trying to chase him down here, coming into turn 11. It's a purple sector too, but he is not improving. So, personal best sector, but he's still 20 hundredths down on his personal best. Watson Navy jumps up in the 3rd. Aiden is ready to retire as well in 5th. Can McJammy pull something out of that Red Bull. Is Red Bull giving wings enough? No, he slammed the brakes. Oh, that might have been actually a decent lap, but he just slammed the brakes. So that's an interesting one for him. And yeah, nobody is going to improve. Nobody is improving. Campbell Adams on pole position with a 1:14.11.7. So that's a shock. I think Jeremy was actually really cooking on that one. I don't think it would have been a pole time, but it would have been really dang close there for the Red Bull. But yeah, it just looked like he held on to the brakes there right at the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Aben was on a lap, but he did just DNF on the pit entry. I don't know if he was going into the pits or out of there. Might have been on a lap there, so maybe something we could discuss later on once we get some more information there, but potentially could have improved on his time. He does end up P14 when it's all said and done, Auburn, but we'll see how we go for the Grand Prix. Here is your leaderboards going into the Grand Prix. Campbell Adams P1 and Mick Jamie in P2. Wonton and Mercadi Don in P3 and 4. Aiden is Red in P5. Pop Top Bongo in 6th. Ryan Adair, M. John, JDI, Jazan, It's Dido, Chi, Chaotic, Alban, Audrey, Andre, and Connor will round out the rest of the remaining places on the grid. And we will start the Hungarian Grand Prix here for Russia Racing in Div 1.
Exactly. So it's not a full grid here tonight. Oh, well, Mr. Nishka the Weatherman. He was right. Look at the absolute downpour. I know we made the puns of if you are hungry for Hungary, hopefully you're thirsty too, because there's plenty of water to go around here on the circuit. And this is gonna make things interesting. This is definitely gonna be a bit of a spice factor, a little bit too, as the drivers now have to really just kind of think about their setups now. While they do that, it might take a bit longer because I think drivers are definitely gonna want to make some quick stuff, some quick tweaks. So we'll just kind of see. But anyways, we're talking about Hungary, talking about being hungry, talking about spices. So what's your spice tolerance when it comes to food, Kaus?
My spice tolerance, Rekus? Wow, we're really plugging at straws here. Yeah, look, my spice is not too high of a tolerance. I'll be honest. I am Italian, so I'm not the biggest spice man, but it is getting pretty spicy here on the grid as we got 5 red lights, and they will go out very late there. Campbell Adams to start off the grid gets a nice pull away from Mick Jamie. See how they navigate this. Wonton looks to be getting up into the P3 position away from Mick Jamie. Seems to come down a little bit. There's a lot of tussling and turning there into turn 1. Dido has somehow, I think my thing is bugged out, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong things, but it does look like Campbell Adams.
It is Jazz Hands is off the track. He's gone deep. Collides with Aston Martin. Alpine versus Aston Martin. Boy, where have we seen that one before? As there's battling happening up and down the field. Sorry for cutting you off there, Kaz. There is absolutely everything going on here in the wet. A good amount of the drivers are on that intermediate compound, and the rain is heavy here. So everybody is on that intermediate. Meraki Don all the way up into P3 at the moment. He has been very strong in the wet conditions during the NAEU leagues. So he has been a very steady force there. And he's on controller as well. Probably the best controller player that I know in Rush Racing League at the moment. Popped up Bonga now, really trying to close in the gap to Watanabe here. He's really trying to make things happen between them. And Maragidon is pretty much right at the back between McJamie and Campbell. So this one could be a very spicy one yet, as the Red Bull is absolutely... Oh, a little bit of a twitch there from Meraki and McJamie. Campbell Adams does lead. There will be no DRS at the moment, considering the torrential or near torrential downpour of rain that we got here at the circuit. as McJammy is going to try to hold on here. He does run a tad bit wide, and Marakadon is just stalking his teammate here, just almost matching him step for step for step. And for lap 3, we do have a on-board request, so I'll go let you take away the rest of this lap, Kaus, and then I'll jump aboard with Marakadon for lap 3.
Beautiful. Thanks very much, Reckers. Does look like Jazztan is making up some places as well, nearing the back of the grid. I think he made a move onto Andre and just past Kaitonic as well. We'll see if we can get a on-board with Meraki as we negotiate the rest of this lap here. Front three seem to be pulling away from the rest of the grid. Wonton is in that P4 position, might be holding up the rest of the pack from getting involved into the rest of this race. But we'll see how it all shakes out. But the front three runners are really starting to pull away, as I previously mentioned. But McJammy might be able to make a move on Campbell Adams. We'll see it from our good friend Meraki Don's POV onto the start finish here. Remember, since it is absolutely raining cats and dogs, there will be no DRS on the start finish straight or into turn 2, as it looks like McJammy is a bit far away on this occasion to think about a move, and we will continue on with the rest of the race. It is only lap 3. Pop Top is battling with Wonton at the moment for position number 4. Does need to get the power down as soon as possible. Wonton still has the inside lane. No. He tucks back in, and Pop Top Bongo gets that move done into P4, and will try to catch up to the front three runners.
As Meraki Don now is still trying to chase down McJammy here, as we are on our onboard lap with the American driver. The New Yorker is going to go ahead and try to put so much pressure onto McJammy here. He is going to go ahead and be nice and gentle on the wheel, going a little bit over the curve there. But he is definitely making up some time in some of these corners, as he does try to work to the back of his teammate here. Red Bull is definitely going to be loving this position right now. It is P2 and P3, but they're definitely going to try to put a driver up into the on that top step of the podium. A bit of a lock up on the front right there for Marakadon. He is still able to hold onto the car very nicely as he makes his way to the double hairpin. And then he's going to see if he can get a good exit here. Looks like McJammy does run a tad bit wide from the POV, as Campbell Adams setting fastest lap after fastest lap, as there is a bit of a dry line forming here. And Marakadon's going to get really close to the back of McJammy here. We'll see if Meraki can hold on to this one. But these guys are letting Campbell Adams run away here. And I think maybe a swap might need to get orchestrated here from the Red Bulls, because it looks like Meraki has definitely at least got him on the corners. And McJammy's just not letting them on through. I know McJammy's trying to maximize the points because Jonno's not here. But I think Marakadon does have a pretty good shot. But hey, who knows? Maybe Marakadon could get ahead, and then pretty much the exact same story could happen yet again. So definitely something worth keeping an eye on, as Aiden is still trying to chase the back of Wonton here, as Watanabe is going to go ahead and still try to hold on, pretty much trying to hold on to the rest of the field. Popped up Bongo kind of in a bit of a no man's land at the moment. And speaking of Pop Top, we got another onboard request for Pop Top Bongo, and this time, my man Kaus, I'm gonna let you take this one away as we get ready for Pop Top Bongo at the start of lap 5.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, Rekus. Yeah, I'll just quickly also add to the discussion about the swaps between the Red Bulls. If you're gonna do a swap, it does need to be in these early laps. If you're gonna do it, it's the best time, right? Because you can still kind of have a lot of the lap to influence that tire advantage, and that you can build up over time. So we'll see how Pop Top is going to navigate the circuit. Good turn 1, especially for it being in the rain and it coming down from the skies. nice and tidy into turn 2. Try to get that power down as soon as possible. Nice little kiss on the inside curb there, and then let the steering open up on the outside. Looks like the fellas did get some ads, so we might actually reconvene the Pop Top Bongo the on board for next lap. Obviously, if you're watching this previously on the VOD, then you won't know what's happening. But yeah, some of the people on stream got an ad. We'll do the Pop Top Bongo one next lap as well, fellas. Don't worry, we will elongate that. That's no worries. Don't stress. I know you guys got some ads, so. We'll just quickly have a discussion about the front of the grid here while we wait for Pop Top to come around for lap number 6. Yeah, I think they do need to switch Rekus, but in saying that, McJammy does seem to be pulling away a little bit from Meraki Don and might be having a challenge onto Campbell Adams going into lap number 6. We'll see if he's able to do it into turn 1, and then we'll jump back on board with Pop Top Bongo. Doesn't look like to be close enough this time around. We'll have to tuck back in here, McJammy. Behind Campbell Adams, might have had a little bit of oversteer. Taps the back of his gearbox. Says, "Hey, you going, mate? I'm not going anywhere anytime soon." But might have lost a little bit of momentum into that second section there that potentially could have got a move done into turn number 2. So order will stay the same. Let's jump on board with Pop Top Bongo.
Alright, we're gonna jump back on board with Pop Top Bongo after getting hit with 6 ads, apparently. That just gives you guys a little bit of an extra incentive to go ahead and subscribe so you guys don't get slapped with ads. Twitch ads are pretty rough. They're almost as rough as Spotify ads. But now what you're definitely gonna see is, well, actually it's looking kind of rough at some points, is Pop Top's lap right now. On board now with the Mercedes man, as he is seemingly just sliding around quite a bit out there on those intermediates, and he's going to try to find some kind of grip as he comes to the last couple of corners. Goes to turn 11, make his way down into turn 12, the very sharp 90-degree corner before he comes to the double hairpin, and he is going to go ahead and continue on here. He's got a little bit of pace to find here, but the track does have a definite dry line forming here. And they'll come across the line. Marakadon setting the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And we can see the Pop Top is going to go ahead and make a move to the wet line to go for it. Oh, but look at this. McJeremy and Campbell Adams going to go ahead and fight it out. That lap finished at the absolute best time, as now we have a 3-way fight for first place. Campbell did have a pretty solid gap earlier on, but I think, especially just from the way he's sliding around out there, he might have just overheated those intermediate tires. McJammy now really going to try to close in the gap. Campbell goes wide. He's risking maybe a penalty if he does that too many more times, which could really shake up the order of this entire race. McJammy now going to continue to try to put pressure onto Campbell Adams. Bit of a snap there himself. Just that chicane is just really tough for these drivers, especially in these wet conditions, because ideally you want to take a lot of curb when you're going through those chicane, and the curves are wet, which means they're going to be extra slick. So when a track is slick, you get less grip. It's a pretty simple formula, really. Kind of like just driving on a wet highway or wet motorway, whatever terminology you like to use. But McJammy, he did fall off a little bit compared to Campbell. Campbell is still going to hold on here as we are over a 10th of the way done with the Grand Prix here. And Campbell Adams just set a new fast time of a 1:32.781. And we're going to continue to see these battles up and down the field. Jumping down to around the midfield now, it is going to be, a bit of a snap there from Connor, as he's going to be under pressure from Andre. That white and blue Williams is going to go ahead and try to close in the gap to the Kick Sauber. And they're going to make their way into turn 1. And it's going to be the Williams seemingly getting a bit of a better exit, but Connor just still with superior car positioning. Andre looking one way, looks another. He's looking for that gap like he's looking for his lost wallet. and he is going to still not find the gap needed for the move. But here we go. This might be the move that he needs. And Andre is going to try to stick it into this. Oh, contact between the Sauber and the Williams. They are fighting it out. That was a bit of argy-bargy that might be looked at by the stewards.
Yeah, that was very, very that was very game from Andre to go for a move on the outside of that section of track that usually is a bit of a one-lane turn, but they negotiated it not too bad from my side. Looks like they both came away with their end plates intact, and Andre with a position up, which leads me on to a great discussion to have at the moment and see what the position changes are. Andre is up 3 and same with Connor OCE. Dita has made up 2 places from the start. He's up into P9, and JDI has also made up 2 spots in 7th position. Pop Top Bongo, we saw him making a move on Wonton earlier on in the race. He's now up 2 positions from P6. Of course, some of the heavy losers here, Chi up down 3, and M. John also losing 3 positions as well. But it's early on. We're almost nearing lap number 10. Still a lot of Grand Prix to go tonight. I'm very interested to see what the tyre strategy will be for these guys. As you mentioned, Rekus, they are going through a bit of tyre wear, and it does seem like these front runners specifically are fighting, they're pushing, they're trying to make up places early on. And I'm wondering if that will mean that they're going to be using a lot more of those tyres. If it's still going to be a 2-stop, can they even elongate it and maybe do a 1-stop potentially? But we'll see how it goes. Speaking of which, Aben has got a 3-second time penalty, the first one of the Grand Prix. I dare say there'll be a lot more of these coming through for the drivers as they start to fight for positions in the middle and latter stages of the Grand Prix.
We saw that good amount during the reserve program too, didn't we? We saw a good amount of drivers getting smacked with those pens. It's interesting, right? Because we know that these intermediate tires can sometimes feel like they're made out of paper mache, just with how abrasive the tire wear is. As now we drop down to Keotonic, trying to get a move done on to Connor. He does have Chi not too far behind. And then from one Sauber to another, JDI he does have Ryan Adair trying to make his way up the field as well. I'll be curious about the strategy, just because, yeah, like you said, I mean, there's no specific tire requirements now that the rain has hit, because normally you are required to use 2 different compounds in a Formula 1 Grand Prix, whether it's the medium and the hards and softs and hards, just whatever combination of those you'd like. You need to use 2 different compounds. But when the intermediates come into play, intermediates or wets for that matter, that's not even necessarily the case. You don't need to run 2 different compounds, so you could run intermediate on intermediate through the rest of the race if you really wanted to. But these things do have a very high attrition rate. Correction, they don't. They really just burn through super quickly. When they get you out, they really just start melting away like a marshmallow that you left way too close to that campfire. As once the Navy goes way too off the runoff there, a little bit of a gap, and this is going to be interesting. As now the front field is spread out quite a bit now. While Campbell, Big Jammy, and Maracadon were pretty much separated by a second overall for a while there. Now there's about 2 seconds from the Mercedes to both Red Bulls, and about almost 2 seconds in between the Red Bulls at the moment. So Aiden Raiden is going to continue to try to put pressure on to Wonton, but now I think at this stage a lot of the drivers are going to kind of switch their focus from aggression to conservation as they try to keep these intermediate tires from falling to pieces here. So you'll probably see, especially on that start-finish straight run at the end of turn 14, you'll probably see a lot of drivers do switch to that wet line and try to cool off their tires a bit.
Yeah, falling to pieces is what will happen to these tires as we do get a raid from BZR 1986
Woo!
with 5 people. Welcome to Rush Racing League, ladies and gents. If you haven't heard of us before, well, I'm happy to welcome you in. This is a Australian racing league with multiple different divisions, multiple different drivers, and we race on Hungary here tonight. This will be 100% race, so the tyre strategy will come into effect very, very shortly as we'll navigate and give you all the information as it comes to the fray. It does look like there was a penalty given to Andre. Another 3 seconds here. This is not the time you really want to be getting those pens. I know that, of course, you don't want to be getting penalties at all, but sometimes, especially on a track like this, there could be a little bit more penalties than other tracks just because of the nature of the circuit, the way that you want to navigate it. You want to bring a little bit more speed through the corners, and that does compromise you on the exits. And that means that potentially if you go too far off on the exits, you will get warnings and therefore penalties. So I think there'll be a lot more, as I mentioned, going through the rest of the race. Campbell doing a very good job here. 3 seconds to McJamie at the moment. McJamie was getting quite close to Campbell in the earlier laps, but does seem to be dropping off fairly significantly at this point. And Meraki Don does seem to be dropping back as well a little bit from McJamie as well. Pop Top Bongo did have to make a move onto Wonton, and Wonton didn't make it easy as we navigate over to Aiden is Raiden fighting with Ryan Adair. Ryan Adair, very, very interesting place to go for a move, my friend, especially in the rain. Does get the nose up on the inside, but doesn't get the power down on Aiden is Raiden. Will most likely need to just tuck in behind there. Oh my word, it's getting feisty in the second section here at the Hungara Ring Wreckers.
Yeah, I was saying that as actually it was Aiden is Raiden and JDI getting into it first, and then Aiden is Raiden really struggling in these conditions. As Ryan Adair is going to continue to try to find something here. The reserve race winner at this exact track a couple of nights ago is going to go ahead and try to close in that gap to one Mr. Aiden is Raiden, and he is going to go ahead and try to make something happen here. But Aiden is Raiden is just, he's losing that back end quite a bit, so I'm not sure if it's a setup related thing or the fact that those intermediates might just be barbecued at this point. Oh, they both have a bit of a synchronized drift there, going through a bit of a toge as they make their way through. And we're having a few close battles here on circuit. Still a good amount of gaps here, but JDI is going to try to close in the gap to Wonton here to jump up into the top 5. Got 2 battles pretty much happening back to back, as we're talking about one Sauber. The other one gets a 3-second time penalty for track limit violations, as Aiden is Raiden does now fall a second off of the rest of the pack that he was fighting with. Ryan Adair now really making some good inroads to the back of Aiden. He's going to continue to push on and use every bit of pace that that Ferrari has, as Campbell Adams keeps setting fastest lap after fastest lap on those intermediate tires. Now, the interesting thing is that there's not really any gradual drop off of the intermediates. They're either dialed in or you're all over the place. There's pretty much hardly any in between when it comes to these intermediate tires as we go up, as JDI is still trying to close in the gap to Wonton here. The gap might present itself. Wonton with a bit of a slide, going a bit wide coming out of turn 1. JDI is going to really try to kick it into high gear and close it in to Wonton here. He wants that position from Wonton, and we'll see if he can get it. He's looking really close now, but it's so hard to pounce on most of this track. Bit of a snap there from JDI, a couple of snaps actually, and a little bit of Formula drifting here in these Formula 1 cars, as we are on lap 14 out of 70, and Aiden is Raiden is still going to be under pressure from Ryan Adair, but he's really caught up to the back of JDI, so this could be a four-way fight for that P5 position here in a couple laps time. So these guys are really going to try to... Oh, and that's JDI going very wide there into the runoff. Very, very wide indeed. And this is going to be a very interesting one. Because Dino now getting a 3-second penalty. That is the 4th driver, so a quarter of the drivers racing tonight all have track depend. And it's only lap 15. So we could see a point where even 50% of the drivers here tonight get a penalty, Cows.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. As I mentioned, it's really easy to get those track limit infringements on this track. Yeah, there was almost a code round from JDI. That was real close to the wall. A lot of tandem drifting going on between P5 to P9, as they seem to have some rear instability, we'll say. But we'll see how they navigate. I think Ryan Adair really wants to get this moved on Aiden's Raiden, and the same for JDI onto Wonton. They don't want to really get held up in a pretty key section of the race, as we might start seeing some guys maybe have a little bit of look on potentially ducking into the pits, changing over those boots. As you mentioned though, Rekus, they do not need to change the compound type. Of course, it would probably be beneficial and wise to change the tyres so that they're fresher. JDI all over the back of Wonton, but very, very that would be quite a interesting place to go for a move there. I think that would be quite of a flip, but we'll see how he goes into the start finish, if he can make the move done, and likewise with Ryan Adair onto Aiden is Raiden as well. So both Aiden and Wonton seem to be struggling on this compound at the moment in this section of the Grand Prix. See if they can get the moves done here on the start finish. Maybe Ryan Adair is a little bit too far away to think about it, but JDI is a little bit closer on this occasion. Can he get it done into turn 2? Needs to get the power down to be able to catch up to Wonton, but looks like maybe Wonton might be holding on to a lot more ERS than the rest of the pack just to use on that start finish. So we'll see how we go for the rest of the race, as it might look like these guys might not be able to make a move onto their respective opposition. Looks like Kaio is making a move on Connor OCE and gets the move done on the inside of turn 1. Great move from Cryotonic, as he looks like he's trying to cut through the field. He was gaining on Connor OCE for quite a while there, so good to finally get the move done. Connor OCE, Jesus, mother of mighty. That was definitely going to be a code brown. Jesus, he almost just lost that back end out of turn 2. Might need to think about ducking into those pits and changing over those boots.
Yeah, exactly, and he's losing a lot of ground too. He's got Chi right behind him, who's going to look to try to capitalize as well onto Connor. Connor is not exactly in the greatest of spots here at the moment. He's really just trying to survive, really. And just in those couple of corners, he's already lost over about half a second to Keo, now a full second, as Chidong is going to continue to try to close in the gap in his V-carb. Try to work that V-carb mode 2 around and try to see if he can close it in a bit further, as he is still going to try to hold on here. We'll see. Surprised we haven't even seen anyone even go into the pits just yet, but it is going to be, I mean, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be practically a game of chicken when it comes to the pits. Just who wants to pit first? Because, I mean, the track is so far spread out. I think almost whenever you pit, you're likely at least going to end up right behind someone. You might find a clear pocket, as there's a clear pocket between Andre and Keo. There's a bit of a pocket, or between Pop Top and Wonton, bit of a pocket there. But you don't want to come out in dirty air, especially on a wet track like this, especially with mostly fragile. So Campbell Adams is going to continue on here, and he's going to continue to set a fast lap as Cheeton gets one onto Connor. And oh, they're still side by side going over the curbs. Bit of carbon fiber being knocked off there, so that might be a little bit of floor damage, maybe? Oh, it's a spin! But somehow, through some mighty miracle, it is going to be Chidung saving that car. And he is going to go ahead and just absolutely save that one through pure skill on that one. That's a beautiful save, but I'm sure Chidong is definitely not too pleased about that. Probably a little like, yo man, what? But we do have a driver into the pits at the moment. It is going to be Connor making his way into the pits, sliding around even then. So, I mean, there is a good chance that these tires might not even be damaged. Connor's just out of the race, so he'll call it quits there. Good chance that these tires might not even be that cooked. It's just that the rear ends are getting so fired up because of the dry line there that you probably could extend these tires to almost, and that's crazy to say just considering how much these drivers are sliding around, but you could even try to extend these about halfway maybe, because these intermediates are fragile at times. They do get a bit of an extra lease of life when it is a 100% Grand Prix. So we could see it. We could see these tires actually last a bit longer than either one of us really have any right to predict, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will. We'll see how these drivers end up negotiating it. Arben just taking out one of the brake boards there. I don't know if you're on board with him. He just said, I had enough of seeing that 150-meter brake board and decides to knock it out of the park. But we'll see how this race starts to materialize. Again, a lot of these drivers between P5 and 9 still having a bit of a train, not able to make passes here. I think this is probably good for Wonton to stay out for as long as possible, because truthfully he is holding up a lot of this pack, just due to the fact that the characteristics of the track and these cars not really being able to make the overtakes done during the lap. So yeah, I think tire strategy is going to be one to keep an eye out on. I think a lot of these guys might be waiting potentially to see how the weather shakes out. I think I did remember Nish might have mentioned that this might be rain throughout the whole race. Oh my god. We just saw tandem drifting from Wonton and JDI. I would not be surprised if one of these guys have an off at some point. They seem to be wrestling the hell out of these cars, really trying to keep them on the black stuff. But we'll see how they go. Maybe they can keep it going, keep it on track, and get to the pits as soon as possible. If someone can give us some information as to if it's looking to be a full wet race throughout the entirety of the Grand Prix, that would be fantastic, because we don't have the information that the engineers and the drivers have. But we'll keep our eyes peeled and see if it looks like to be clearing up, which it doesn't look like it, but who knows? It could change very, very quickly.
That's kind of what is a state as drivers are drifting around. These intermediates are getting really fired up here. Almost too fired up here. I mean, these tires are really starting to feel the effects of the wear and tear that these kind of conditions can bring. Now, the intermediates are they're odd tire, right? And they're not the greatest in F125, especially because F125's tire wear compared to 24 is generational. Honestly, if you just compare the two games side by side, as Campbell continuously ticks down the time. The dry line is forming now, so it is much easier to overheat those intermediate tires, and just when they overheat, they expand a bit too much, and you just do not have the same level of grip, regardless of how old the tire actually is. So we could see these tires pretty much last about half a race distance, but it's going to be potentially, I mean, we might even see someone try to break it up for the whole race, which I doubt. I mean, it's possible, and I'd be generationally impressed if somebody could make a 70 lap race out of these tires. Because that's likely not going to happen. We'll probably see somebody maybe consider it around lap. I'm going to say about. Um, hmm, Probably going to say around lap 40 is probably when we might see some guys come on in. Um, JDI is going to try to make a move now, trying to find any kind of gap to Wonton. And I think once somebody passes Wonton, who is practically the Hungarian minister at the fence right now, then I think we're going to see the absolute floodgates open for these guys. And we do have a surprise interview, I think.
We do indeed, Wreckers. It's a good mate of mine. Well, maybe not recently after last few days incidents, but that's all right. We can look past it for now. Nishka, welcome to the comms box, mate. How you doing?
Howsy wowsy, how are we, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's good to have you. Good to have you here. Good to have you on the comms. I assume you're engineering for some of the Mercedes drivers right now. How's the race shaping out for you tonight?
It's a pretty comfortable watch at the moment, actually. To be honest, I'm in there with Campbell and Hop Top. Boys are doing a fantastic job at the moment, so yeah, it's pretty comfortable watching at the moment.
Yeah, it is quite comfortable, maybe a little bit too comfortable, as Pop Top did have to make that move onto Wonton earlier on in the Grand Prix. Do you think maybe if he didn't have to have that move done on Wonton earlier on, he could potentially be fighting these Red Bulls a little bit further up the field?
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely got the pace. I believe with Baraki. Maybe not so much Meowsy. But yeah, definitely has the pace with Meraki. We'll have to see how this goes on, because I know Meraki's on pad as well. So whether the tyre wear will start getting to him, and then Pop Top can reel him in. He's just in a bit of we'll just do a bit of tyre saving at the moment, and keeping the tyres in the right temperature. And yeah, we'll see what happens as the race goes on.
Love that, Nish. I'll end it off for my questions for this for the final one here, mate. What do you think is the target lap for a lot of these drivers? Obviously, you don't want to give up too much information about your guys' race, but where do you think is the bracket of time that these guys will be looking to duck into the pits?
Lap 70.
Lap 70. That is that's ambitious to say the least. I like where your head's at though. Thanks for answering my questions, Nish. I'll see if Rekus has got any for you.
Yep.
So the question I got for you is, coming into tonight, were you expecting your boys to be doing as well as they are currently with a P1 and 4 at the moment?
I mean, if I wasn't expecting Campbell to put up a performance like this, I think I'd be kidding myself. I think everyone knows what Campbell's capable of, but yeah, for Bailey, P4 at the moment, kind of we've probably come to expect that from him as well this season. He's been super consistent all season, so yeah, I'd say pretty much what we'd expect from these guys. I know that's high expectations considering it's Div1 and they're P1, P4, but yeah, that's what they bring to the team. So yeah.
All right, well, that's all the questions I got. Enjoy the rest of the race. Good luck to you guys at Mercedes, and good luck to your race later on this week, Nishka.
Thanks very much, guys. And good job on the comm so far.
Thanks, Nish. Love your work. All right, let's see how the race continues to develop. We do have another surprise request. Oh, we've got Sector 1 incident here. Hold on. Let me have a gaze at what's going on. Campbell Adams looked like he had a bit of an off, maybe, on his own.
I think he had an off trying to dodge Aben, actually. I think that might have been the yellow flag.
Yeah.
But do we actually have another surprise interview?
I think we might indeed. Doesn't look like Winter's in here, though.
I'm checking it out. Yeah, I'm actually not even seeing another request for a surprise interview.
Oh, it's for Dur. No, I'm not smart. It's for Dur. Dur, how you doing, mate? Sorry, I had to switch on there. Good to have you in the comms box. You're providing us with some great entertainment. You and Nish for jumping in. So appreciate your time, and of course I didn't get a chance to, but thank you, Nish, for jumping in as well. But Dur, welcome to the comms box, mate. What's your thoughts on the race so far? Give us your footnotes.
Definitely a very interesting one with how wet it is. The fact that it looks like it's going to be wet for the entire race is quite good to the fact that we've got Red Bull in P2 and P3 there. Very glad to have Meraki racing for us this week. Bit unfortunate that we were so far away from Campbell, but the gap back to the rest of the grid I'm quite happy with.
Sorry to cut you off there, Dur, but it does look like there has been an off from the Aston Martin, potentially. No, they've gone to the pits and retired from the race. Sorry, I thought maybe he had caused an incident onto the track and potentially could have caused a safety car, but no, he's retired into the pits and his race is finished up. So we'll just continue on with the discussion quickly. So I'll just quickly ask as well.
On to both. Oh no, my dad's getting on to Aben again. Never mind, ignore that. We're back to racing as Aiden and JDI are still fighting tooth and nail here. So the sister Red Bull team trying to make some moves here. But anyways, back to y'all.
Thanks very much. Oh, looks like there might be some fighting for position here with Aiden is raiding on the back of JDI, actually. So I might just quickly see if there might be some tussling for position. No, looks like it's going to have to wait for the start finish. But I'll quickly ask my questions, Stir. Apologies, mate. Thanks for taking your time. We heard Nish just quickly made a comment mentioning that he believes that Pop Top Bongo will have the pace on Meraki Don in the later stages of the Grand Prix. Do you have any questions or comments or insights on that one, by any chance?
I'll be surprised. That's all I'm going to say to that. I'll be surprised. If we look at the gap that's currently opened up, it's all the way to... It's 8 seconds now, so it's going to be a tough ask for him to try and close that, and I do believe that Meraki's got what it takes to get to the end and stay in that P3 position.
No worries at all. Understood. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that. We'll see which engineer in this case, because Nish is an engineer, not a TP for Mercedes, comes out ahead. We'll quickly just jump on board with Aiden is Raiden. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the move done onto JDI on this instance, but is very much closing in on the back of JDI. I'll hand it over to Rekus to see if he's got any questions for you, Dur, in regards to the race tonight. But best luck, mate. I wish you and Red Bull the best of luck for the remaining of the laps of the Grand Prix.
Thank you very much.
So it's an interesting race here, strategy-wise. So I guess my question is that if it push comes to shove, and I mean, granted, I know there's 12 seconds in between them at the moment, but it was a bit of a discussion earlier. Was it ever considered to swap McJammy and Meraki Don earlier on in the race?
Did come across my mind, but as you can see here, the fact that McJammy's been able to push away and really open up that gap, I think it was the right call to keep him in front. May have made the start a bit more interesting from a viewing point, but I do much. And let me specify that McJammy is our #1 driver there. He's in contention with Jonno now, and especially with Jonno missing this week, means that he can close up those points as well. So push comes to shove, I do want him to be the driver ahead going across the line. But yeah.
Alright, well, that's all the questions I had. Thank you so much for jumping on in, and best of luck in your race later on this week.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Alright.
Thank you very much, Joe. Well, sorry, Rekus. The delay is insane. Yeah, the delay is pretty insane between us, so I apologise. But yeah, we'll jump back on board with the Grand Prix so far. Look, there seems to be that train that's still, as we discussed, from P5 downwards. Does look like Wonton is starting to pull a little bit away from JDI as he's getting under pressure from Aiden Israden, but doesn't look like he's able to get the move done as Andre does give himself 3-second time penalty. I think he is the first one that is up to 6 seconds at the moment. Yes, that's correct. He's the first one to be on 6 seconds worth of time penalty. So didn't get a chance actually. I probably should have asked Dur what he thinks the time at which the pit stops will be happening, because I think Nish saying lap 70 is a bit ambitious. Rekus, what do you think about that one?
It's definitely ambitious, to definitely say the least on that. I mean, from what it looks like, these intermediates are actually going quite the distance. They're going further on than I actually gave them credit for. I mean, you could probably, oh wow, that's a really punch in air from Jazz Hands here. I mean, that's the second time he's tried for that exact same lunge going into turn one. So, Hassan might be able to make a move sooner rather than later. But yes, I think 70 is a bit optimistic when it comes to the tire swap. I mean, it's a hard maybe, but ooh, this is interesting to say the least. You could probably go, like, personally, you could probably try to go half distance, although granted my tire management is absolutely buns. You might have maybe 1 or 2 people try to push for 70, but I'm predicting it's probably gonna be around lap 40. I think we might see some stops. That might be when we see the stops happening. I just do not see these tires going the whole way. If we do see these tires go the full distance, then I'll be very surprised, to say the least. I'm trying to think of a good bet that I can pull off, but can't think of one at the moment. Maybe you can come. Actually, wait. If I say you should come up with a bet for me, then I might live to regret it. So.
Yeah, probably not. Probably best we stay away from the bets. We stay away from the flipping and the gumba. We'll leave it for the other people to suss out. But Ryan Adair seems to be pulling a little bit further back from Jazztan this time around. But while we do keep an eye on the action-packed action happening in front of us, we do have another individual to jump into the comms block with us, as we have our good friend here, Mars. How you doing today, Mars? How are you feeling about the race so far?
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm just getting a little bit comfy into the race. I mean, there's still a long way to go after it, so...
Yeah, 100%. I'll let Rekus ask a few questions this time around, as I did take a little bit of the questions last time, but we'll see what Rekus has to ask in this time around, and see what insights you can give us in regards to the race.
Alright, so it seems to be a bit of a hot topic here, at least in the comms box. Nishka says that these tires are good for the entire race distance on these intermediates. What are your thoughts on that? Because we think it's a bit of a stretch.
Prior experience on what I've been engineering on, basically they should last, but there should be struggles by the last few laps around that. I mean, they will make it for sure.
Okay, so apparently we just do not know engineering ball when it comes to these intermediates then, because I can barely make this thing last about 7 laps. Although granted, that's around China, much different circuit, but regardless, so these tires are expected to actually go the whole distance. That's surprising. I think I did make a bet. But overall, any bold predictions for the rest of this race here?
Bold prediction? I mean, well, I'm not trying to tell the obvious here, but the fight to P6 to P8 might just last until the very end. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of position change by the mid-pack. So, I mean, tire savings could be all of it.
Alright, well, thanks for jumping on in, and I'll pass you on to Cal, see if he's got any questions this time around.
Yeah, just quickly, Mars. Sorry, excuse my ignorance here, but I assume you're representing Mercedes. Am I correct with that assumption?
For some occasions, yes.
Right, understood. Well, I was going to ask as well. You know, obviously we've been talking about the tire strategy and all that sort of stuff. Do you think it is optimal to stay on these tires? Do you think that these guys are going to be able to keep the pace up for the vast majority of the race, or do you think they should consider maybe having a little bit of a look over on pitting to different compound tires? As it looks like this, sorry to cut you off here, Miles, before you answer that question. JDI does look like he has lost position finally to Aiden Israden, but is coming back into the fight, into turn number 1. But Aiden Israden does have that dry line, the inside line, and will get the move completed. Unless JDI can have a little bit of look around the outside here. Sends it in, tries to keep the grip, but it's really, really wet out there. Will not be able to hold on the outside of turn 2. Maybe if the track was dry, could definitely try that move. But unfortunately, does end up losing that position to Aiden Israden here tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, he's missing an end play too, so, and he gets a penalty, so all that is moot. Unfortunately, he'll still try to push on, but back to you with the interview.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you very much. I just had a mental blank. Yeah. So, do you think it's going to be the ideal strategy for these guys to go the full lap 70 until the end of the Grand Prix?
Well, it wasn't ideal for like pace-wise, since like everyone's gonna do the same laps around here, with these same set of tires. I mean, it's just a matter of time when someone reacts on the strategy, make the first one to call the shot, and then maybe the rest will follow. It depends on the pace-wise, because now there's just they're just waiting for a trigger right now.
No worries at all. Well, thanks very much for giving us that insight tonight, Mars. Best of luck, and thanks for your time. All the best. Enjoy the race.
Yep, cheers, mate.
Yeah, so we are gonna go to return back to the Grand Prix action. I think this is the most interviews we have actually done in a Grand Prix, so that's definitely a first. I think that's a bit of an unofficial Rush Racing record. 3 interviews, but hey, it's good to get insights too, because it kind of now gives us a new look into the surprising fact that these intermediates could go all 70 laps. I'm still a little bit skeptical with my prior experience, but granted, this is a 100% race, so the numbers do get skewed quite a bit, as they do tend to adjust the tire wear ratio based on race distance. So the 35%, the 20%, and the 50%, as well as the 100% races, all have their different tire wear ratios. And with this being a 100% race, it's not wrong to assume that these tires can last longer than they would normally. And Hungary, I guess also worth noting that Hungary in particular is not exactly the highest tire deg tracks, because there's not really a lot of fast sweeping corners that really just scrub the life out of the tires. But here we go. Justin trying to make the move up the inside of JDI for who knows how many times in a row, but this time looks like it is going to pay off. They're going to go side by side into turn 3. JDI with the inside line. He's going to try to shuffle Justin wide. And it's going to be a tight one, but just a little bit behind. It is going to be Ryan Adair going to look for a move himself. Oh, he taps him, bit of a snap of the oversteer there. Ryan Adair almost ending up off the track, and that could have been a safety car. In the case of safety car, I think everybody might consider switching tires. Maybe. It clearly seems like that it's going to be a no-stop race for a majority of the field here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say. Look, I share that skepticism with these tires going to the end. I think, at some point someone is going to flip it, right? Because at the end of the day, especially if you're in P12, 13, 14, sure you'll get some points, but if there's an opportunity to try to get more, you're already at the back end of the grid. You might as well just try to get more from that tire strategy. Ryan Adair goes for a bit of an ambitious move up on the inside of JDI, comes off second best, but I think Ryan Adair might be feeling a little bit frustrating being at the back end of this train the entire time. And we know he's got the pace to be able to make the difference in these races, and hopefully he can move up the field a little bit later on to the race. In saying that, though, it did look like Chi Dung did receive another penalty. No, that was his first, sorry. So he will also get a 3-second time penalty. He joins JDI Dido and M. John with 3 seconds, and Andre is the only one of our drivers that do have six seconds worth of penalties. So we'll see how this goes, see how it all shapes out, and still a lot of racing yet to go.
Yeah, we will see indeed, and don't worry, I'm not going to make the same joke I made about someone having 6 seconds of penalties that did their reserve program race. That was one and done. But what is not one and done is Andre's attempts to try to get past M. John here for P11 on the road. Penalties are definitely going to make things a bit trickier because Andre does have more penalties than the rest of the field. But, I mean, that can certainly change. We're just now at half race distance. So it'll be probably another half hour for those of you thinking about the time. Actually be a little over a half hour, probably close to about another 40 minutes of Grand Prix action here in Hungary, as Meowsy is still pretty far off Mick Jeremy, who is a bit far off of Campbell, which is going to be your top 3. Dino's actually in the pit, so hey, there's a pit stop. Switching for new tires, switching for a new set of inters. Hey, I mean, I did make the call about half race distance, although not as many drivers as I was expecting, but yeah, Dino coming in right at the second half of the Grand Prix to switch out tires. So there you go. I got it right, at least for one driver, so I'll take my wins where I can get them here. But continuing on with the racing here, Aiden is trying to put pressure on to Wonton, and just behind it is going to be JDI trying to put pressure as Keo's in the pits and Maraki's in the pits. So yeah, the Mercedes guys might be trying to go the full 70, but definitely not going to be the case for a good chunk of the field.
Yeah, I think we'll see what lap times Dido can do, since he's the first one that has made the pit stop in this race. See if he can maybe improve. Of course, he is down on time at the moment because he did make the pit stop, but we'll see how he goes on his second go around the lap. Meowsy Don and I forget who the other person who just dubbed into the pits. I'll quickly just check my stops, and it was also Kaitonic as well, who jumped into the pits as well. M. John also following suit. He's also diving into the pits to change over those intermediates for a fresh set. Hopefully he can get further up the field, and I think this is probably the angle that you want to have a look at, right? I think trying to go the full race distance is probably not ideal. You'll eventually be just scrubbing time and losing time in the sections. Yes, you'll have track position, and I understand the thought process around that, but the pace difference, especially going out of that final turn, you still need to get the power down quite early, chuck on your ERS. You'll just be scrubbing time through there, and you'll be a sitting duck on the straight still. So we'll see how the Mercedes guys end up navigating this strategy, if they can potentially get it done on the one stop, or if they do end up changing over very, very shortly. It does look like Dido is improving a little bit on this lap. I think he was up about 3 or 4 seconds. I could be wrong though. We'll see what the splits are on this sector from his times. See what he does this go around. He is up about 3/10, so not a massive difference at the moment from his best time on track. But I think that time difference will probably come a little bit more into fruition as the Grand Prix goes on. You'll probably see a lot more positions changing as we get to lap 40, lap 50, and we'll see how these guys end up navigating the rest of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, so interesting stuff here. I mean, this is the thing about these 100% Grand Prix, these full distance Grand Prix. It's interesting to say the least, just because every strategy that you normally employ during a regular esports race just kind of goes out the window, because you got to think about the long game, and you got to really adjust your strategy to these longer races. I mean, they're twice as long than we normally would run. Normally, we would already actually be mostly done with interviews at this stage of the race, but now we still got another half of the race to go. So it's still going to be a lot of action, and it's going to be like this all week. So if you guys are brand new to Rush Racing League, there are 5 divisions, and actually you get 2 more because NA is actually going to go ahead and do 2 of their races this week. We do have a North American / EU division that we run, and that'll be, both of those divisions will run later on today. Well, depending on time zones, it's going to be about, I think it's about 10 hours from now. So actually I think it's close to about 8 hours from now. So at about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US will be Div 1, and then 5 p.m. will be Div 2. So that's how things are going to shake out for NA. As now Raiden is going to try to raid his way up into P5. Still chasing down Wonton here, trying to get these positions. And yeah, I think it might actually be kind of a bit split, because I mean, Campbell's got 30 seconds now to the back of Campbell. So McJammy really just falling a bit away here, as Campbell has just pretty much locked in and just started dominating lap after lap here in these conditions. The rain is still falling here, so definitely, if you see somebody on a set of dry tires, you can assume that's definitely a misinput, because it is still very much, the rain is still coming down here. I don't think we'll see anybody switch to the wets. I think that's a pretty safe bet. I think it's going to be inters throughout the Grand Prix, but now we do see that Wonton is going to come into the pits. He is set with those tires just enough, and now he's going to get a slick set of Pirelli Centarios onto that car, which is what they call their intermediates. Fun fact. Not sure why they call that, but the green wall tire is back onto the car, and they're going to go back to racing. So for those of you who maybe just like a family member or a friend, loved one of one of these drivers who isn't exactly too familiar with racing and why the different tire combos exist, well, first of all, we welcome you with open arms, and we'll happily explain that. So the intermediate tire is kind of like a bit of a balance between the full wet tire and the slick. Usually meant for light to medium rain. In this case, they do have grooves compared to the regular slick tire, so they're not as quick as a regular slick tire by any stretch, but they can handle the rain a lot better. The grooves disperse the water onto the sides of the track, which is why we do see a bit of that dry line form, especially with the kind of ground effect or vacuum style that this generation of cars has in Formula 1. They pretty much suck up the air to provide a bit of downforce, which in case sucks up the moisture. So there is a full wet tire for when the rain is torrential and there are a lot of puddles on track. The wet tires are more like your regular road car tire. They have a lot of grooves meant for displacing the water to form a dry line, but like what we got here. The intermediate's kind of like right in the middle between a wet and a slick. So hopefully that did explain some things for you if you guys are not familiar. And we're going gonna go back as Ryan Adair is now gonna make his way into the pits as the camera decides to zoom in on a very nice piece of gravel at the moment. As we try to look at Ryan Adair, who is well out of the pits. The camera apparently just decided to zoom in on some gravel for some reason.
Yeah, very very nice piece of gravel there in Ryan Adair's pit box. But yeah, I can confirm he's definitely out on track, and he is on a fresh set of intermediates. I was just keeping a keen eye on McJamie versus Campbell Adams at the moment, and McJamie is eventually starting to close up that gap. But Campbell Adams still being able to stay consistent with his times. I think he did a 31.6 in his first sector, and I think he did a 31.4 this time around. McJamie was going down to around the 31.2s in that first sector, so I was just writing those splits down and seeing how they ended up faring up against each other. I think McJamie is closing down on him, but there is 30 laps still to go of racing, so McJamie's going to have to close down at least a second a lap, bare minimum, to be able to even get in touching distance, and then he has to make the move. So McJamie really hoping that those intermediate tyres really drop off quite aggressively nearing the end of the Grand Prix. And in my honest opinion, my hot take, my punt for this race is that I think they will. I think they will drop off quite aggressively. You see a lot more mistakes from these guys that are trying to run these tyres to the end of the race, whereas these guys that have decided to maybe take a gamble to pit those nice and early and try to get a move done, as we do see Wonton making a move on Andre, who's on those 40-lap old intermediates versus Wonton's 2-lap freshies. Yeah, I just think that it should be, in my mind and in my opinion, it should be the ideal strategy to go ahead and get yourself the best result possible in the Grand Prix.
So maybe now, because I know you're racing later on this week, maybe you're now getting some ideas for your potential race strategy. Maybe you could try to go for a 70 lap stint on intermediate tires, which granted there's watch, you're gonna prep for that. You're gonna try it as Ryan Adair is trying to make a move onto Andre and those fresher inters. You're gonna try it. You're gonna practice for that exact strategy, and then you have the driest race out there. Like, it's gonna be a very simple medium to hard strategy, and then all that prep work goes to moot. The drivers do put in a ton of practice and prep work, at least the majority of them do, especially for these massive 100% Grand Prix. They are big races. They take about 80 to 90 minutes depending on the track, and also depending on the safety cars, VSCs, the whole shebang. So, and these drivers got to stay locked in for all 90 of those minutes straight with, I mean, no real breaks really. I mean, you could take a bit of a breather when you're in the pits, but other than that, you're pretty much just pedal to the metal from lights out to checking flag. So, I mean, it's really tough for these guys to do 100% race. I've already done them in career mode, but even then, it's career mode, and that's a bit of a snap there from Ryan Adair, trying to get the move done on to Andre. But a thing that we might start seeing as well is that as these 100% races tend to tick on, some of these drivers might start losing a little bit of that focus. They might, speak of the devil. 2 track limit penalties. Ryan Adair and McJamie, driver who is trying to close in to the race leader, who started P2 and he is still P2 in the championship at this stage. Just get the 3-second time penalty, which for him might actually just be non-existent. It might be a bit of a non-issue. But for Ryan Adair, who's currently in that P9 in a tightly knit battle with Andre, as he did finally get past Andre, he needs to build up a bit of a gap for that penalty to even work. Granted, Andre does have 6 seconds to pen, so it actually probably will be just moot at that point, but penalties can really just shift the entire dynamic of a Grand Prix. And we have seen it before.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier on, I think the penalties are going to change the complexion of the Grand Prix as it goes through. Ryanair finally does get that move done on Andre as he goes up into P9. Really had his nose, I think it was in turn 7, I want to say, earlier on in the previous lap when trying to get the move done on Andre, but decided to tuck in behind, and Andre didn't really get the power down out of the double hairpin, and Ryanair just went up on the inside and got the move done. So very well done from him. I assume Dito and Andre will be switching positions quite shortly, as Dito is on the fresher compound versus Andre, who is still trying to make these older lapped tyres work. I think, as I mentioned before, if you're already this far down the grid, you might as well just duck into the pits and change those tyres. Andre doing some tandem drifting as he is struggling to get the power down onto the start finish, but is giving that position to Campbell Adams as he overtakes the blue flagged runners. Sorry, I think that might be no, it was Campbell Adams. Campbell Adams is losing a little bit of time, of course, to Big Jammy, but I think that penalty might have just sealed it for Campbell Adams, as he still has to make the move on top of catching up to Campbell Adams. So McJammy is putting in fastest times, so who knows? End of the race might get a little bit feisty, a little bit racy, but for the moment, we're just trying to build gaps, trying to get into a rhythm, get some good lap times down, and do our best to chase the guy in front of us or defend our position as much as possible. This is the part of the Grand Prix that can be a bit not enjoyable to keep an eye on. So if you are one of those people, I do see Winter not really getting quite thrilled about this section of Grand Prix. That's all right. Just chuck us on in the background, put us on keep the audio going, keep us tabbed, and maybe just chuck on some Candy Crush or something else in the background while we navigate this section of Grand Prix. Hopefully we can see McJammy start to really get a lot closer to McCampbell. Mick Campbell. Good friend, Mr. Campbell.
Oh, hang on.
Adams.
He's in the pits?
He is.
Ooh, alright, well, this. So much for the 70 laps of endurance on these inters. He's going to make the call coming into the pits, and now he's going to come back out. And Campbell is going to come out. He might come out just ahead of McJammy, actually well ahead of McJammy, so he's going to continue that and holding on. The fact that, the gap has definitely shrunk quite considerably, but still not nearly enough to make it kind of a danger zone for Campbell, but I think Campbell is now probably going to really just rebuild that gap and just start to run away on this fresh set of tires. It's going to take a minute for them to get fired up, but probably not much more than a lap or two. And apparently, Callus, you are an unk for playing Candy Crush, according to Winter. So.
Okay. Look, I might be a little bit older than the majority of the individuals playing the game, but age comes wisdom, and Candy Crush is a phenomenal piece of video game history. All right, so I don't want to hear no slander on my age, no slander on Candy Crush. All right, Winter. We're just going to move on from this. All right, Winter. It's all right. But yeah,
if you ever see Winter in the race, you're just gonna pit him in the turn one. I'm already calling.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. He's gone. Like
you're gonna Candy Crush him straight into a wall.
Yep.
Smack him with like one of those chocolates.
I was literally gonna say
chocolate sprinkle ball things that wipes out the entire board.
Turn him into candy powder. You know what I'm saying? Nice and sweet on the edges. Yeah. Just quickly on the strategy decision from our good friend Campbell Adams. Yeah, I think it is the right decision to pit when he did. He had a really nice gap to McJammy to be able to duck into the pits, get the new intermediate tyres on. And yeah, I think he should be able to build up some consistency on those new tires and make that gap. Even if he just keeps it as where it is, he doesn't need to do anything crazy. Doesn't need to overcomplicate his situation. He's in a great spot at the moment in the Grand Prix to look to close this out, to finish off into the top spot there of the podium. So we'll see if he can just get those lap times down, get that consistency going, and see how he goes. As it does look like he did get the fastest lap previous time around, and he'll probably do the same on this lap as well.
I did see a comment earlier saying that this is what a 100% race does to people. I think this is probably the closest you're gonna get to like the that 2 a.m. at Le Mans commentary soundbite from a couple of years ago. I think that's about as close as you're gonna get to that. But yeah, I mean the drivers, it's tough for the drivers. The commentators can have a lot of fun with it because we could just we can still report about what's going on track and still have a little bit of fun too. And here's the thing, y'all. If any of you guys are aspiring to be commentators like us, just don't be afraid to have fun. You can have some banter. I mean, it makes it more human. It makes things enjoyable, makes things fun. You love to see Rekas throw out a crap ton of crappy puns here and there, making a 6-7 joke during the reserve program race. Exposing my
I still
age.
haven't forgiven you for that, by the way. That was criminal, I won't lie.
I don't
The
think
671 was...
There's a 6-7 handshake that's out there now.
Oh, God.
These kids, man. What are these kids doing these days?
I am getting old. I'm very much getting old.
I am not too far behind to joining that club, Cows, so it's especially when you work at a go-kart track, you can definitely kind of see where some of the youngins just say things that perplex us. Although sometimes some older people can say some pretty perplexing things too, like Nishka saying that these tires could go 70 laps. Still not getting that one. I think Nishka's actually
That's a good one. I like that, Rekas.
I think Nishka's actually younger than me, which is even funnier. But right in there now, still trying to chase down Wonton. He's on the fresher. Actually, no, Wonton. No, they're still relatively fresh tires now. They both made pit stops earlier on in the Grand Prix. Campbell Adams setting another fastest lap with a 1:29.158. We'll take a look at the tires now just to kind of see where everybody's at. So, okay, Ryan is on fresher tires by a single lap. There's still a few drivers that are trying to make it the whole race distance. There probably is going to be someone that does make the full race distance. Right now, those drivers are Chi, Andre, and then the gaggle of JDI, Hastan, and Aiden is Raiden alongside Pop Top. Those drivers have all elected to at least try to go to lap 50. They're probably
Sorry to cut you off here, Rekas, but it does like that. We have a change of position for position number 3, Pop Top and Meraki Don going at it again. And Meraki looks to get the move done. So it looks like the TP of Dur does get ahead of his prediction, where Nishka did say that Pop Top was going to be able to catch up to the Red Bulls. And Meraki Don did end up pinning for those fresher compound tires, and he has made that position back on Pop Top Bongo to take back position number 3 and to give Red Bull that nice position there, and already built up a decent gap over half a lap already with that new compound tire. Sorry there, Rekas, but that was a really important move for the podium positions as we have 20 laps of Grand Prix racing to go.
Yeah, I was just watching Ryan and Adair trying to chase down Wonton, but yeah, that is a very important position gain there. And I mean, Meraki's on newer tires at this stage, so I mean Meraki, and I have seen this man dominate in NA back when we brought back the NA season to Rush last year. So I've seen what Meraki Don can do on his day. And this is just exactly the Meraki that I'm familiar with seeing. The driver that just has generational pace. So, and I don't know if it's the same for y'all, but as I'm looking at the Twitch chat, the phrase of Cows saying that I'm hallucinating, I will take a screenshot of this and send it to you, Chaos. But that message has repeated, I think, 12 times on the Twitch chat feed. So hopefully it's not like that for you guys, and hopefully it's just on my end, it's having a bit of a moment. But some fights have really closed up here in the last couple of laps. Hastan's closed up to the back of Aiden is Raiden. Ryan Adair is still right on the back of Wonton for P5, the battle for P5 and the battle for P8 respectively. So there is quite a bit of battling still going on here. Campbell's still pumping out the laps like there's no tomorrow. He's just on Tom Shaw mode at this point of the Grand Prix. Ryan's going to try to close in. Hastan's going to try to close in as well to their respective rivals, as Aiden is Raiden might still be struggling a bit on those now 50 lap old tires. I mean, 50 laps on any set of tires sounds like a WEC level commitment. But they're going to continue on. They're still going to push on. But man, I mean, I just can't even imagine trying to get these tires to 51 laps. But hey, kudos to the drivers who have done it.
Yeah, they've done a good job tonight, Rekus. Those individuals that are elongating their stint for as long as possible. I'm very interested to see that M. John and Dito are not able to close up on Andre. He was struggling a lot on these very, very old tires, especially after Ryan Adair got the move done on him. So I was very much expecting M. John and Dito to eventually close the gap to Andre and potentially Dito to swap places for position and maybe give a chance for Dito to get involved with this 5th down to 9th battle, but looks like he hasn't closed up that gap as of yet. Maybe later on in the race we could potentially see Dito maybe take a move on M. John, potentially get a position change with Andre and try to maybe fight the back end of this battle. But in saying that, this battle has been going on all Grand Prix long from P5 to P9. Even with Ryan Adair and Wonton pitting, they're still within this fight and still within this battle. So we'll see what happens. I'm very surprised that Ryan Adair hasn't made the move on Wonton yet. I say that, but I understand how difficult it is to make passes on this track. But Wonton does seem to be struggling a fair bit tonight. It does seem like he hasn't really had a lot more pace than maybe other tracks. Maybe the rain has really caught him out with his setup, with his prep that he's done beforehand. I don't think I've ever seen a full wet race on this track before anyway, so it is quite particular, this race, but you've got to deal with the conditions that you're given and do your best with what you've been presented with. And I think obviously our good friend Campbell Adams has definitely done so with a really nice pitch strategy from the gap that he's built from McJammy, and is, as I mentioned, kind of consistently just putting in those lap times. Doesn't have to do anything silly, even if he does lose that position, as long as he can still stay within 3 seconds of McJammy if he ends up making the move at the end of the Grand Prix, because McJammy does have that 3-second time penalty. So we'll see how it goes, see how these guys navigate the rest of the race. Does look like Ryan Adair still on the back of Wonton, still staring at the back of that Aston Martin gearbox. Probably knows the blueprints by the back of his hand by now, the amount of racing behind an Aston Martin he's done tonight. So might have to ask him a few questions about the compression ratios of that engine. If you watch real Formula One and are a fan of that, you probably might have heard that buzzword being thrown around in regards to Mercedes and Ferrari. I'm not sure if we've actually had a chat about the Chinese Grand Prix that happened last weekend, or maybe the weekend before. Sorry. Did you watch the race, Rekus? Did you have any insights from the Chinese Grand Prix?
Well, I will say the Aston Martin here today looks a lot more drivable than the actual AMR 26, as that car is practically shaking itself to bits. I did actually watch the Chinese Grand Prix, and then I had to commentate pretty shortly after that. So, yes, I did watch it. I'm happy for Kim Antonelli. At this point, I actually do want Antonelli to win the championship, just because I think it would be absolutely hilarious. But, yeah, I think Mercedes has definitely got a good power unit. I mean, that's probably that's me stating the obvious as a textbook definition of stating the obvious. But, I mean, I'm actually really looking forward to the 2026 DLC that's coming in June. So that should be, I think that's actually pretty much right at the end of the Rush Racing season, which does wrap up at Silverstone, the heart of British motorsport. So could be interesting to see, and I think we saw a little bit of it in the qualifying, but I know energy management is going to be so important. It'll be really interesting to see. And oh, look at this one! Here's a battle for the ages, and this is going to be interesting. Wonton, Ryan, and JDI on a three-way fight. Overtaking on this track is a bit difficult though, so we'll just have to really wait and see how this one pans out. But it is all to play for here for these guys, and actually with a little bit of battling, and maybe if Hastan's tires kind of start fading away, although I think he's on a fresher that did some of these guys, then this could be a really spicy battle. Wonton making the move onto JDI Thunder. The fresher tires winning out on the day. But oh, Ryan just smacks the back of the Sauber. How that did not snap off an end plate off of the Ferrari, I don't know. But it's going to be 2 places for the price of 1. As JDI does get just swallowed up by Ryan and Wonton there. Those older tires are really starting to take effect now.
Yeah, that was that could have been really bad for Ryan Adair. I think that was almost the second time that those two have tangled in this Grand Prix so far. So maybe some choice words afterwards to each other. But yeah, JDI struggling on these 53-lap-old intermediates. I did say I feel like these tyres will drop off quite aggressively nearing the end of the Grand Prix. JDI is proving to be struggling really a lot on these very old compound tyres. Might have to think about jumping into the pits. He might have to bite the bullet, but we'll see how what decisions he makes in the remaining few laps. I feel like Ryan Adair should be able to make a move on Wonton this time around, as he did look like he had a lot of maybe overspeed, or might have just braked a little bit later than the other drivers of JDI and Wonton that were battling before. But this time around won't be able to be in touching distance of Wonton, as Dido does get himself a 3-second time penalty. Does bump that up to 6 seconds till that will be added to his time at the end of the Grand Prix. Unfortunate for those two Williams drivers, as they both have 6 seconds worth of penalties that they will need to serve. Hopefully they can minimize that impact and maybe try to make some time up, try to make some distances, and we'll see how it goes. So we will jump on board. You heard the big boss. I want to see. Oh, Chai Dung. No worries. We can jump on board with our good friend Chi Dung. Sorry, and he's actually getting a little bit of pressure from behind. Looks like to be a fast driver of Pop Top. Yeah. Pop Top, that'll be sending on his way through to start finish. But let's see how Chi Dung goes this time around, and see if he can make up some time this time around. He's on 54-lap-old intermediate compound tyres. And he's going to be ducking into turn number 1. Kiss that inside curb and try to open up the steering and get the power down as soon as possible. Of course, if you do it too early, you might snap a little bit of oversteer. If you do it too late, you might lose a little bit of time. So trying to find the sweet spot there is a bit of a challenge. Into turn number 2 and 3. Nice section of tarmac there as he kisses that inside curb on the inside of 3. Very, very safe on turn number 4. Still does ride the curb. And a nice turn in here, keeping it nice and tight to the inside. Again, open up that steering a little bit. Don't open it up too aggressively. just before the 50-meter breakboard, rides a little bit of the curb on the inside on the right-hand side, but gets a nice exit into the left-hander and tucks it into the right as well, riding the curb on the outside there. Using a lot of the tarmac and the curbs, I would say it would be quite a little bit sketchy to do so, as if you get a little bit of a snap of oversteer, it could potentially be fatal. But a lot of these drivers, haven't seen too many drivers have an off at the moment. I might have just jinxed someone, so knock on wood. I do apologise if that does happen from this point on. But Chi Dung coming through the double hairpin onto the start-finish straight, get the power down nice and early, and to finish off a lap here with at the Hungary ring a 132.6 on the intermediate compound tyres on a very old compound as well. So good lap from Chi Dung. Hopefully he can maybe potentially close the gap to Dito, but that might be too tall of a order, as he is 46 seconds behind Dito as it stands.
From one onboard lap to another, it is going to be Campbell now. He has to fight that car a little bit coming through turn 1. So he's got to go ahead and just try to keep the car facing in the right direction. You can put in all that good work for all of it to come crashing down with one mistake. Campbell Adams now, he does have traffic just up the road, and as a good friend of mine would say, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. As Campbell Adams is going to continue to try to close in. He's caught up to probably the worst gaggle of cars you could have caught up with. He's caught up with Ryan, Wonton, and Daztan, and also Aiden. So he's got these 4 guys who have basically been beating the life out of each other for the last couple for almost the entire Grand Prix, really. So this is a battle that's not going to be easy for Campbell Adams to really get through. He's making good progress though, but getting caught up in this pack is certainly going to lose him some time, because look, even from Campbell's perspective, look how close these drivers are to each other. This is insanely close. And I mean, just this absolute gaggle of cars ahead. Ryan snaps. He's going to snap over to the side. He's going to let Campbell Adams through. And it looks like he might be the only one to let Campbell Adams through at the moment. Everybody else still trying to fight for their position. Justin going to go and try to send it up the inside. Now this is a very rough spot to be. It's something you actually see in multi-class racing quite a bit. You can have a battle, but you're getting those blue flags due to a faster car behind you, like GTs and prototypes, really. And I mean, Campbell is gonna he's gonna have to fight his way through this pack, because this pack is not really gonna let him have it. Oh, unless you're Jaztan, apparently. He just tries to tap into Alpine's rally, his rally heritage, and that is crazy, as we have another onboard request for Ryan Adair. So yeah, this is going to be fascinating now. Campbell has gone through that gaggle of cars, but watching this gaggle of cars is going to be crazy stuff. We'll take a look at the pens real quick, as it is pretty much 3 seconds across the board, unless your name is Dito or Andre. Well, there is 6 seconds apiece. And now we're going to jump aboard with another onboard, this time with Ryan Adair, as he powers it a bit too early. Moves being attempted up in front of him. Wonton now trying to go ahead and send it around the outside onto Aiden. Aiden going defensive on the inside. Ryan pretty much waiting here. Bit of wheel contact between Wonton and Aiden. Wonton gets the move done for now. Aiden though, I think what happened just there is that Aiden is ready to hit the back of Wonton, forcing him into the front of Ryan. So Aiden getting caught in a bit of a Formula 1 sandwich, and Ryan just tapping the back. Just kind of, knocking on the back of that V-car. Like, I'm here, I'm home, I'm ready for this position. As Ryan is still going to look one way, he's going to look another more contact between the two. There is so much contact in here. more contact than a phone book between these drivers at the moment. Ryan trying to get one. Oh, that's big, that's big. That is so big. That's almost a crash. That's definitely a spin there. That is definitely gonna be just, that's gonna go to the stewards for sure, as Ryan is now fighting with a Ferrari to try to keep it going and try to keep it facing in the right direction. Hastan just up the road is going to try to fight Aiden is rated, but this has been crazy stuff. A crazy onboard there for Ryan. But yeah, that's another onboard lap, and just chaos is happening here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
You definitely got your you definitely got your channel points worth for that for the onboard there, Mars.
Yeah, you got a lot of action going on. Yeah, there was a lot of fighting there. I think Ryan Adair was kind of pushing the envelope there, really just grinding and bumping all over the back of Aiden Raiden, really leaving a mark on the gearbox there. But we'll see how they navigate the next few laps, as Hastan is also closing up into Aiden Raiden. I did mention this, that the guys that have pitted for those compound tires, so the people that decided to make the jump and switch over those intermediates onto fresher ones seem to be, at this stage of the Grand Prix, a lot faster. But it's that section of track, it's that last corner that you need to get the power down and get the exit spot on and right, so you can actually make the move into the start finish. So it looks like Ryan Adair specifically there might be struggling, as again Andre with another 3 seconds, he's up to 9 at this point, as Campbell Adams is still pulling away for the top spot here, is now 9 seconds away from McJammy. But my eyes are peeled on this battle for 7th position, with Hastan doesn't seem to be closing up on Aiden Raiden this time around, but Ryan Adair bringing a lot of speed into turn 1 and really getting his nose up and about all over the back of these drivers, trying to make a move on the outside. I like the ambition, but it is a wet race. You've got no DRS. We are at the Hungarian Grand Prix as well, so it's very tough to make a move. But we have seen a few moves done in Sector 2 tonight, even in the wet. So maybe Ryan Adair does have the pace. We know he's got the pace, and he's been showing it all night long. He just needs to have a little bit more race awareness, maybe a little bit more. I'm not too sure, he reckons, because I think he clearly has the pace to make the move on these guys. He's just not putting himself in the best possible position consistently enough to be able to get the move done on these front guys.
Yeah, I think Ryan Adair's definitely got the pace, but I think he's just being a bit too punchy here, because, I mean, he's going to try to send it around the outside on turn 13, not quite going to get it. But the thing about Ryan at this point is, even if he does get these passes done, he's going to have a lot of trips to the steward's room. He's going to know that room like the back of his hand. He can say exactly what orientation that steward's desk is going to be facing by the time he's done visiting the steward's room. He's had a lot of dicey moments where he's trying to get moves that may have not really existed. I mean, Aiden is rated, putting up heck of a defense. Don't get it twisted, but Ryan just trying a bit too aggressively here to try to get some of those moves done. But less than 10 laps to go of the Hungarian Grand Prix here at the Hungaroring. Jastan's going to continue to try to close in the gap to Aiden is Raiden, and these guys are going to absolutely just fight it with every singular fiber of their being. And yeah, this is going to be interesting, because Ryan, he's definitely quick, and he honestly might be one of the quickest drivers on track, aside from maybe your top 3 just in terms of one lap pace at the moment. But I mean, he's just got to get past these guys, and so far he's just not able to do it. And when he is able to do it, He's like getting his elbows out a bit too literally there. Ryan gets another 3-second penalty, and somebody else also got a penalty too, I think, or that might have been a fastest lap notification. We'll take a look at the pens again real quick. 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 3, 9, 3, 6, 3. So those are your penalties right now that, I mean, considering the field spread might not play into effect that much, but I mean, the top 3 is definitely not going to be affected by it. McJeremy does have 3 seconds of pens, but he's almost a minute ahead of his teammate. So, I mean, there's not really going to be too much for that one. No, that pen's not really going to affect too much there. From PA down, though, that's going to be a bit spicy when it comes to pens to see where everybody finishes.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, Big Jamie's pen will be null and void pretty much just due to the gaps, as you mentioned, to Miraculon. So we'll see how it goes. Again, Ryan Adair not able to get the power down onto the final turn to be able to capitalize on his pace. Seems to be really, really pushing this car and trying to do his best to keep that gap close, which he's doing fantastically well. He just needs to get the exit speed out of the final corner. So can he do it this time around? Can he finally make the move that we know he can make? He clearly has the pace. But there's one thing to be fast, and there's one thing to have race pace and drive really fast as a driver. It's another thing to make overtakes. It's a different conversation to put yourself in the best position to make the overtake, not lose a lot of time. Ryan Adair will need to do a lot of revision on this race as to how he can make these moves a little bit more cleanly, a little bit more consistently, so that he's not getting impacted with his time. Again, not able to get the move done, trying to send it around the outside. Very, very ambitious move. Very, very unorthodox. And the reason it's unorthodox is because no one really does it. And the reason they don't do it is because it's not very effective. So, again, Ryan Adair will stick behind Hastan, and Aiden Israden will also be leading Hastan through Sector 1 here. Ryan Adair, again, trying to scrap all over the back of these guys, but not able to make a move. It looks like M-John might be closing in as well onto Andre. It doesn't really need to make this move on track, but would feel nice to do. As mentioned before, Andre does have 9 seconds worth of penalties, unfortunately. So let's see if he can maybe get a move done into the start-finish, but I'll keep my eyes peeled on the battle for 6th first and see if Ryan Adair, once again, all over the back of Hastan, maybe you're going to try another move here. See, I don't want to see this, Ryan Adair. I just want you just to stick behind. Stick behind. Focus on getting the power down to the start-finish. That's all you need to do, my friend. Just relax. Nothing crazy. Nothing unorthodox. Let's just keep it simple. There's a blueprint here that we know is effective. Let's get the power down. Let's see if we can get this move done. Doesn't look like he's going to get the power that time around, but looks like there might...
McJeremy has been DC'd, so he'll need an invite to get back in, because that could really shake up the complexion as Ryan tries to get one up the inside of Hastan. He's going to try. Can he get the power down? No, it's still a bit snapping there for the Ferrari, but the Ferrari is going to get 2 for the price of 1? Question mark? No, not cool. Yes, he does. It took a little bit of extra time, but he got 2 overtakes for the price of 1. There you go, Ryan. Nice and clean there. He had to fight for it, but he finally gets that position. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful move. That's what we know Ryan Adair can do. He can pull off stuff just like that. We've seen it before, and now we are seeing it in full effect here tonight. It took a few tries, and it's probably still going to take quite a few trips to the steward's room, so those may all be for moot. But with that being said, Ryan Adair up at a P6 after God knows how long of trying. And I am
finally gets that move done.
And I'm gonna go to ignore the 6-7 joke that Nishka made in chat. I'm just gonna ignore that.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
But hey, here's a battle you predicted earlier. M-John getting one on the Andre.
Oh, early
There
from
you go.
Emjon. He was able to get that move done. I did mention it previously, but yeah, I think that was just due to the fact of the tyres being very, very old for Andre. It was going to be quite difficult to get the move done, but good for Emjon to get it done before the start finish so that he can get some lap times in and maybe even try to catch up to JDI. I think JDI does have 6 seconds worth of pens versus Emjon's 3. No, they both have 3 seconds. So we'll need to make the move on track to get that position. We'll see if he can maybe chase down JDI for that position specifically. Does look like Has10 is still behind Aiden is Raiden after all that Ryanair battling that was going on beforehand. Ryanair does need to build up that gap to Jazhan and Aiden is Raiden. I think he does have 6 seconds worth of penalties himself. So even though he's finally got the move done, he might end up still being behind those guys at the checkered flag. So needs to get a move on, needs to build a gap, needs to try to use whatever's left of life in these tires to finally get the moves and get that position that he finally got on track, and hopefully he can keep it at the checkered flag. One time, I was a bit critical of him earlier on in the race. It did seem like he was struggling a bit, but has really come into his own. He got away from that middle pack that was fighting a lot all race long, honestly, and seemed to have built up a bit of a gap to Ryan Adair, and will look like he will secure that P5 position as long as that there's no antics that happen in these last few laps here, Rekus. As Pop Top Bongo will look to be closing out that P4 position as well. Meraki Don, great debut for Red Bull as he puts in a very consistent performance, does eventually make that overtake onto Pop Top as well during the race. As much as we discussed that with the TP of Durr and the engineer of Nishka as to whether or not these two drivers who will come ahead, it does look like Meraki Don will get the better of Pop Top. Mick Jemmy, very important position for him right now. He is in P2 at the moment, but our driver so far that has absolutely ran away with this race so far and will start his penultimate lap is Campbell Adams here, Rekus. I'll jump on board with you for the penultimate lap.
All right, so it is going to be the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, and all the battles have really calmed down for the most part. Aiden is ready, is still trying to chase down Ryan Adair, but oh no, he's actually going to be able to push it from Hastan, who's trying to jump up into that P7 spot. M-John did close up to JDI. This is going to be another battle that they will need to really fight it out, and we'll see if he can go ahead and get the move done and dusted. But like you said, the one driver that is absolutely dominated the day is going to go ahead and be Campbell Adams. But here we go, M-John trying to make the move on to JDI. He's going to go for it, send it up the inside, and that is as clean as you could have wanted it to be. And that is M-John up into P9. We'll take a look at the positional changes here just in today's race. Andre has moved up 4 positions, but once again, these are all definitely going to be subject to change, as it is just about to become lap 70 out of 70 here, as we'll jump aboard with our race leader as he does make his way across the line, and it'll be lap 70 out of 70 for one Mr. Campbell Adams. And he has done a fantastic job here tonight. He has lapped, a bit of a slide there coming out of turn 1 and 2. He has literally lapped every single driver except his teammate and the 2 Red Bulls. Welcome back, 2021, where the Red Bulls and the Mercedes are the 2 dominant forces on the racetrack. It is back to 2021. It is going to be massive points for both Red Bull and Mercedes, who are still trying to secure their places in the overall and the Constructors' Championship for Div1. Right now, Mercedes is currently in second place. They're going to significantly close in that gap to Ferrari. with Ferrari's main champion not here tonight, and with Ryan Dare down to P6. It has been a dominant win after 70 laps, over 80 minutes of racing. These drivers have done everything that they can. A little bit of a victory slide there for Campbell Adams. He's got one more corner left to go. The final hairpin, and Campbell Adams wins the Hungarian Grand Prix in dominant fashion by over 30 seconds to McJammy in P2.
Yeah, really dominant drive from our good friend Campbell Adams. 31 seconds, as you mentioned, and we'll have a glance over at the Red Bulls as they come through to finalize their positions here, and we'll secure position number 2 here for Mick Jammy. So well done to him. Great drive to get P2, and we'll jump on board with Merakidon, who's also coming through the third sector. He will be entering in just a moment's time. A lot of other drivers will be finishing their race because the leader has finished, so therefore you will pass the checkered flag and not be able to complete all of the laps, but you'll still finish in that position. Ryan Adair does end up losing those positions to Aiden Israden and Hastan, as we mentioned before. One time will secure position number 5. Meraki Don is coming through to the start-finish to see the checkered flag and to take position number 3 for Red Bull, and Pop Top Bongo will finalize the last remaining driver and will take position number 4. Well done tonight, guys. Very, very difficult race here, Rekus. I think we were having our own challenges here in the comms box, but I think very, very good drive from a lot of these drivers. No really significant offs. No safety car, especially for a full wet race. So really well done. Great clean driving from everyone. So and of course the plaudits and congratulations to Mr. Campbell Adams.
A very good drive here indeed. Yeah, no safety cars. That's probably the most surprising part of this whole event. Hopefully the rest of the week is going to be like that, because we pretty much were just solid from the lights out to the checkered flag here tonight, with all 70 laps of racing here. And if you guys like Hungary and you guys enjoy these 100% races of Hungary, well, you got 4 more of them left to go. Divs 2 through 5 still have to run. Fastest lap does go to Campbell Adams, so he does get the Grand Slam here. Hastan, driver of the day, most overtakes to Hastan as well. And Merakidon is the cleanest driver. So running through the field, it is Campbell Adams, Mick Jammy, Merakidon, Pop Top, Wanton Navy, Aiden Israden, Hastan, Ryan Adair, M. John, JDI, Andre, then Dito, Kiotonic, Chi, and then Aben and Connor, the last 2 being our only retirements of the Grand Prix. But that's going to be it for us here. But before we fully sunset things here, we do have some interviews that we will go ahead and get underway with. We'll try to keep it short and sweet for these interviews, because I know these drivers are probably dead exhausted and dead tired here. I mean, if they even want to do interviews. I know it's been a long 80 minutes of solid racing action. But as we go ahead and wait for our drivers to jump on into the comms box, if they do want to chat with us for a quick little bit. Cows, that was a heck of a race there. So just what are your thoughts on this? The first of 4 100%, or first of 5 100% Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was long. It was very long. I think I would be empathizing with the drivers a little bit. I'd understand if some of them don't want to jump in the comms box. It is a little bit later than what we're normally used to, but we'd still want to have a chat with them and discuss some of the situations that happened in the race. I know that it was full of exciting moments, and there's many points to discuss. So we'll see what they have to say. Look, I think it was definitely much a war of attrition, and seeing who would be able to finalize their position. I think track position was very, very sought after and fought for, and you could tell by everyone just trying to elongate their stints and staying on the intermediates for the entirety of the race. I really wondered what those percentages would have been at the end of the race. So hopefully we can get some of the guys that were on those, I think it was 68 laps, 69 laps, 70 lap hold intermediate compounds, and we'll see how we'll see what they have to say after this Grand Prix.
Indeed. We do have one of the drivers in at the moment. I'm going to work on getting the other two podium finishers. But it has been a beautiful, beautiful drive for these guys. And we'll see if they want to interview. But first, I'll let you go ahead and take away our interview with our P3 driver of Meraki Dawn. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Rekus. Meraki Don, well done tonight, mate. You did a fantastic performance for someone that has just jumped into the division. How did you go tonight? What was your initial thoughts after that race?
I mean, sorry, I'm like tired of talk. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, finally being allowed to come back and race in this division, I didn't expect. I saw it was gonna rain. I didn't think it really was, but it wasn't the best races, I guess. I had to lift and coast basically the entire race ever since like lap 10, and I just let my teammate pull away because I didn't know when we were pitting. I didn't know what was going on, so I just let him pull away. I didn't need to worry about him. It's not my race. He's fighting for championship. I'm not. And then all I was doing was just managing the gap between me and the Mercedes. He wasn't catching me even while I was lip and coasting, so I was like, yeah, I have P3 secured basically.
Yeah, you did, and you did kind of have a little bit of a moment with Pop Top after you pitted for those intermediate tires. Was the plan eventually, like, did you get the call to pit like a little bit later on? Was it always the plan to pit, or did you kind of navigate that yourself? Did you make the call? What was the discussion there with the pits and also the move on Pop Top?
It was more of just like a mental thing because I thought about it. I was like, because the tire wear starts to drop off at what, like 30%, like 38% tire wear. If he was gonna stay out for that long, I was like, well, if I'm quicker either way, even while lifting coasting, I can just push a little bit more in the low speed because I wouldn't be burning that much fuel, and then just do like a massive lift in like the first sector, and then just catch him, and that's end up what happening. I was catching him like probably like a second a lap, and then I ended up catching him, and I passed him, and then all I had to do was lift and coast, lift and coast, and just make it home.
We did well tonight, mate, to secure that P3 position. I think your TP here will be very, very happy with those points. So well done. I'll hand it over to Rekus to see if he's got any questions for you. Well done tonight, mate.
All right, Meraki, it's different seeing you at this time. I'm still used to seeing you at the end of the NA races. So I'm just going to go ahead and just say congratulations on the podium and enjoy the rest, man. You've definitely earned it here tonight.
Thank you, Rekus.
All right, we won't be able to get Meowsy, but we do have the Red Bull TP in his place. We do have Dur in, so Dur, it is going to be a double podium for the Red Bull boys here tonight. How do you feel about that?
Over the moon about that. Very grateful for Meraki coming in here and reserving for us this week. He's done an amazing job. Grateful for Meowsy as well, coming in, getting the job done, persevering through that very, very long race. Yeah, great to see the boys out there.
Indeed. And how is the energy in the rest of the Red Bull garage? Because this is definitely a motivation booster for sure for the next 4 divisions.
A lot of the boys seem pretty excited about how things were heading. Yeah, it looked like a good race, and yeah.
All right, well, that's all I got. I'm going to pass you over to Callus if he's got any other questions or comments.
Yeah, I do. I do indeed have some questions and comments. Well done, Dur. I think it would be an understatement to say you're quite pleased with that, with the reserve driver coming in, and of course you've had the fortunate situation of Jonno not racing tonight, so there's more points on the table for you guys. I'll just say quickly, there was some discussions that we had. Of course, we had the chat with you in the middle of the race, and Nishka. Does look like Meraki did get ahead of Pop Top. Do you think that move would have got done anyway, even without the pit stop, or do you think that was a bit of a deciding factor in that one?
He definitely would have got past him regardless. As I said, I thought Nishka was dreaming there with his what he said. I didn't see that happening. Meraki had the pace and he showed it, and yeah, that was never in doubt.
Beautiful, love to see it. Well, with Meraki's really good performance, do you potentially see him maybe if there's a when another silly season happens this season, or potentially could be poaching him to have more races with the Red Bull crew? What is there any thoughts in the back of your mind there?
Yeah, definitely put some interesting thoughts into my head. I'll go back and talk with the boys and see what their thoughts are and see what Meraki thinks and what we can get organised.
Beautiful. We might have it here first, ladies and gents. We might see Meraki more often in the Div1 races here for our OCE specific championship here in Div1. But well done tonight, of course. Well done tonight, Meraki. You guys did a fantastic job, and all the best. Enjoy the points.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much to both of the drivers tonight. Appreciate you guys.
All right, last but most certainly not least, we're going to jump in with the race winner of one, Mr. Campbell Adams. So, Campbell, you had a very dominant race here, and we were told that Hungary is one of your strong tracks. So, how did you find the race here tonight?
Yeah, it's one of my strong tracks. I wouldn't say it's the strongest, but it's up there for sure. I was hoping it was going to be a dry race, and then loaded into quali and saw it was full wet the whole race. So I wasn't looking forward to that at all. 70 laps of Hungary in the full wet was not great fun. But just glad to get it done, really.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm only gonna ask you one more question before I pass you over, because I know we've been at this for a while, and I know you are pretty much like probably extremely tired. So next week it is Qatar, a track with huge tire degradation, and a track that probably won't have rain. How do you feel about Qatar next week?
I would love Qatar, but unfortunately I won't be here next week as I will be in New South Wales. So yeah, I won't be able to be here, but I would have liked to race Qatar, but unfortunately I won't be.
Thank God.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on your win, and I'll pass you over to Kaus if he's got any other questions or comments.
Yeah, thanks very much, Rekis. I do have some questions for you, Mr. Campbell Adams. I don't know why, but I just feel like saying your full name like that just rolls off the tongue really nicely. Well done tonight, mate. You did a fantastic race, and I wanted to have a chat quickly about the tyre strategy there. Did you kind of feel that with the gap that you had to McJamie there, that it felt real natural to make that call, to do the pit stop, to get that fresher compound so that you could really set the run and get away with the win?
Yeah, for sure. I well, when he boxed, I think I had about an 11-second gap to him. So I knew when he came out about 31 seconds behind, if it just got down to 23, I'd still be able to come out in front. So yeah, I boxed when I was 25 seconds in front of him. So yeah, it was just to get that offset so I didn't have to push flat out to the end of the race to keep the gap. I was able to somewhat manage, but be able to push if he ever starts to gain.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to ask, do you think at the end of the race, if McJamie didn't end up pitting, or if there wasn't that, I guess, pressure to potentially have another driver that needed for you to pit to have that fresher compound, do you think all the grid potentially should have done a one-stop strategy? Do you think that was the ideal strat to close out this race for the majority of the drivers on the grid?
No, I wouldn't say so. When I pitted, I think I was doing 30s, and then as soon as I came out, I was doing low 29s, and then eventually low 28s. So, and then fuel burns off, so the tire just gets even faster. So I think I think the one stop was definitely the most viable option in terms of finishing as high as you can. So the one stop it was too marginal on if you'd get a puncture or not as well. So yeah, one stop definitely made the most sense.
Well, you drove expertly well tonight, Mr. Campbell Adams. So well done to you. That is the Grand Prix victory. You'll be getting the full range of points for the win tonight. So well done and enjoy it. Well done, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Alrighty then, everybody. That's going to go ahead and wrap things up here for Div1 at Rush Racing League. And it has been a fantastic night. We saw battles pretty much almost all throughout. There was a very small, like, I'm not going to say dry period because it was definitely a wet race the entire way through, but there's a little bit of a slow point there kind of right in the middle. But, I mean, there was always some kind of action happening somewhere on the grid, especially in that mid-pack. Very fantastic race here tonight. And Kaus, any final words before we send this one off into the sunset?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more interesting battles as the divisions go on. I think that the drier Hungary Grand Prix might be a little bit more interesting. I think the strategy ended up might have just muting the race a little bit. So if you were a little bit bored by this race, I would say stay tuned for the remaining rounds as it will get more feisty. There'll be drivers that will be trying to push for some more points, more positions, and I think it will be a very interesting round as it all shapes out for the remaining of the week. So thanks very much, Rekus, and thank you for all the time, and yeah, all the best. Thank you.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed, and thank you guys for every new follower that we have gained here tonight. Before we go, I do want to shout out our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, SimLab, Pagani, Advanced Simulation, and AI369. You guys are all fantastic. But of course, my biggest thank you goes out to all of our amazing Twitch chatters that have been in the chat week in, week out. You guys are fantastic as always. We got 4 more rounds of Hungary, 100% race, every single one of them, and it should be a fun one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and on behalf of Kaus, my name has been Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for tonight's Grand Prix. Stay tuned as we have a lot more Hungary left to go. A combined total of 280 laps left to go of Hungary this week. Stay hydrated, and we'll see you guys next time. Good night.